Hello, and welcome to the final edition of the PA Diamond Ramp Camp. Today, we're going to talk all about the PA Diamond and what makes our PA Diamond different than Ask a Ramp, and why you should apply for our PA Diamond Award, and where you can get more information about how to apply. So first, the benefits of the PA Diamond recognition. First, PSEA will assume the cost of the application for RAMP, which is $250 for ASCA and PSEA members. Applications are reviewed by PA reviewers with extensive knowledge of ASCA RAMP prior to your application being forwarded to ASCA. So what we do is in Pennsylvania, we'll review. If we award you that RAMP recognition, then your application automatically gets forwarded to ASCA to get your RAMP ASCA designation as well. Communication is sent to your school's principal and superintendent, informing them of your exemplary school counseling program and the recognition. There's a template press release. We'll get you a certificate. They'll have a recognition at that PSEA conference. And then, like I said before, you're automatically eligible for ASCA RAMP and all the benefits that come with earning ASCA RAMP. So first, where do you find the information for the two additional rubrics for the PA Diamond Award? There's two additional sections on top of the sections for ASCA RAMP, and you can find them here on this Google Drive. So if you click the link to this presentation, and we can put you this information in the drive, you can have access to the PA Diamond rubric and templates. And we're going to walk through those now. So the first is the PA Classroom CEW Action Plan. So the Career Goal and Results Report is a goal-driven and includes documentation of all the activities and services that you use to teach the PA CEW standards to demonstrate student achievement in this area. So there's going to be 4 things you need to upload as part of this area. You need to do your annual Career Goal Plan template, which we'll show you in a second. You need to upload your pre-post assessment tool and your pre-post assessment graph. And then you have to upload one example of a career evidence or artifact that you're being collected that correlates with this career goal. So let's move on. I think some of that will make a little bit more sense. Here's the rubric. So you get 1 point for each descriptor met. This looks very similar to a lot of the rubrics that you've seen with the ASCA rubric. So this rubric is also included in that Google Drive, which I shared with you a couple screens before. So you can go back through and look at all of this. I won't sit here and read it all to you. So you can go look through and see all the different points of how you would get your 6 points that you would need for this section. So here's that annual career goal plan template that we just talked about for this section. So obviously it looks very similar to one of the templates you see for ASCA and the goal statement. This does not, though, need to include outcome goal. You're not really going to be able to do an outcome goal when it relates to this career goal. So just make sure you realize that that's not required. So you just have to put an end date, the targeted group, and what activity those students will complete. The supplemental data that you use to help identify that this is the factor and this is the area that you want to address. And then you take your CEW standards that relate to that goal. So if you look through your CEW standards for your grade band, you want to identify 1 or 2 that is going to be most relevant for that targeted group and goal. And we do have it linked here to the CEW standards as well. And then based on those CEW standards, you want to write 1 or 2 learning objectives that the students will learn as a result of the activity. And from there, you want to look at the evidence that you are going to collect. So this is those evidence-based that you would be submitting to the state, which piece of evidence, describe what that looks like, and how you're going to use that to meet that goal. And then you want to describe any other activities, strategies, interventions that they use to develop those identified CEW standards. Like I said, don't forget, when you convert the learning objectives, you want to make that into a pre-post assessment tool that you want to measure change in attitude, skills, or knowledge. And then you want to upload that pre or post assessment tool, as well as the graph showing the results of that pre and post assessment tool. So things to remember, we just sort of talked about the career goal does not need to measure outcome goal. It should reach for something not already attained. So you want to stretch yourself. You don't want to say 50% of students will do a career plan. Obviously, that should be something that you're already doing. That's not a stretch goal. So you do want to do something. Think about your data. Think about what you're doing when it relates so far to your CW standards, and stress yourself. Try to find something additional, or maybe do something more than what you've done before. The career goal activities do not need to be the sole responsibility of the counselor. So we really want to look at this as a whole school approach. So just because this is your career goal does not mean you need to do everything as a counselor to reach that career goal. Your pre-post assessment must be used by converting the learning objective into a tool that measures a change in attitude, skills, or knowledge. So make sure you're connecting that pre-post assessment directly to your learning objectives, directly to the CEW standards. Again, we said this before, but it really mirrors that ASCA annual student outcome goal plan. So it should look very familiar. It should be something very easy to complete based on what you're already doing with your ASCA RAMP rubric. Pay attention to the rubric. Make sure you're reading every part of it. Make sure you're labeling your graphs. Little things can cost you those points. So you want to make sure you're reading that very carefully before you begin. A career artifact, like I said, being collected that correlates must be uploaded. You can do that one of two ways. You can either show a blank one, you show a completed one with a student name crossed out. Whatever seems to work best for you is fine, but we do want to see that career artifact, what's being collected that correlates to that career goal. And then make sure you reflect on each component of the rubric separately. So there's several different questions, just like ASCA. You want to have different answers for that. You're not answering them all in one type of essay. You want to focus on each one individually and answer those as you go forward. So the second PA-specific area is the PA Annual Career Goal and Results Report. So you're going to use the PA Career Education and Work Action Plan, which we'll show you in a second as well. And that's really going to help you look at your effective plan to teach or coordinate the teaching of. Remember, you do not need to do everything yourself, the PEW standards. So really what you're going to do is you're going to look at this action plan and see how, whether in a large group, classroom setting, how are you collecting your pieces of evidence? How are your students learning all the CEW standards? The only thing you need to upload for here is your completed PA CEW action plan, and you only need to do the one that reports and reflects on the grades that apply to your school. So you'll see in that Google Drive, you will see one for each grade band, but you only need to do the grade band that's relevant to the grades that you're in your school that you're working with. Again, here is the rubric. You can see that you've used the template. It has identified grade levels. You have to make sure that you've addressed each of those areas. So one piece of artifact, remember, needs to be in one of all of those areas. So you want to make sure that you're doing that with this action plan. You want to have 2 pieces of evidence are collected for each grade level, except for the K through 3 band. Remember, that only requires 2 pieces because we're really just focusing on grade 3 there. And then you have your reflection questions that you're going to be answering. So here is a sample of that CEW action plan. This is for grades 4 and 5. So this is just a brief sample. This sample is in that Google Drive as well, so you can go through and see that. As you can see on the left, what you have is the actual CEW standard. Then what you're going to be filling in is the activity. What are you doing to teach that CEW standard? Who are your participants? What's that piece of evidence that you're collecting? And who is the person responsible for that? So remember, you do not need to hit every single CEW standard. So as you can see here, like B is blank, that is fine. You do not have to hit them all. You also do not need a piece of career evidence for everything that you're doing. You just need to make sure that you have 2 from each grade level. So in this case, it is perfectly fine that some of them do not have a piece of evidence. And again, the person responsible does not always have to be the classroom teacher, does not always have to be the school counselor, whatever you're choosing to do in your school. But you want to put the person responsible, whoever it might be, for teaching that activity. Things to remember, again, we said this multiple times, but the school counselor does not need to be responsible for all these activities. You do want to use the correct template for your school's grade bands and make sure you're looking at that carefully. Be specific with your activities. You don't want to just say career lesson. You want to be very specific about what you're doing. Don't assume the reviewer knows your school's jargon. So if you have a tool or you have an activity and you have some way that you talk about at your school, just make sure you realize, just with the entire Ask a Ramp application, that we don't know your school's jargon. So make sure you don't use abbreviations, you're writing things out, making sure it's very clear. Make sure you have the correct number of artifacts for each grade band, and then again, reflect on each component of that rubric separately. So there should be several different components that you're answering questions to. So now you have all of those two PA sections as well. So how do you upload everything into the PA Diamond Recognition portal? It's a little bit different than the ASCA portal. So you want to make sure you are using the correct portal so you don't have to type everything in twice. So you're not using the ASCA Ramp portal, you are using the PA Diamond, but it goes through ASCA. So what you want to do is if you go to the Recognized ASCA Model Program, this is the same thing you would do for your ASCA one. Sign in to your account. You can register there on the right-hand side if you need to register to set up your account for the first time. Then where you want to go here is you want to click on where it says District, Schools, and Universities. So that one on the far left. From there, when you say select district, you want to select the PA Diamond Recognition. So that would be the option that you're going to choose. From there, you should get the information on the opening screen for the PA Diamond Recognition. Again, remember, our deadline is a little bit earlier than ASCA's deadline. Our deadline is October 1st. Why we asked for that is we want to recognize all our PA Diamond Award winners in December at our conference. So we just need a little bit more time, especially if you would have to resubmit. So we will do that just the same as the ASCA Ramp. So we will review all of your data. If you do not meet the number needed to get PA Diamond Award, but you are in that window that you are close, then that's when you get to resubmit. So we have to have time to review the application and get it back to you to resubmit if that is an issue. So that's why our deadline's a little bit earlier at October 1st. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Amelia Pfeiffer, the Executive Director of PSCA, or myself, Lisa Fulton. Here are email addresses. I am the chair of the PA Diamond Ramp Committee, so we are here to help you along the way if you have any questions. We really hope you've enjoyed this whole PA Ramp Camp Diamond program and webinars, and we hope you sign up for our office hours, which are coming up, to give you any type of assistance you need as you go to apply for PA Diamond and Ramp. Thank you so much for listening.